Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Lowery Show. This is episode 4 of my podcast, and obviously, my last episode was fucking terrible, so I'm going to do a better job this time around. Now, I'm just kidding, but I've really been enjoying doing this. Once a week, I'm going to discuss one topic. It's going to be about business. That's my main thing. I'm an entrepreneur. Business is my favorite thing in life. And this week, the topic is going to be something that is the cornerstone of American life, something that everybody has to make a decision about at some point in their life, and that is college. So there are so many conversations today about college. Is a degree worth it? You know, it's so expensive, student loans, everything like that. And I feel like the common talking point today is that a degree used to make you stand out, but now they're less valuable because everybody has one. I think everybody agrees that doctors, engineers, accountants, some professions, it's just required. You have to go and learn specific information. But I'm looking at it through the lens of the masses, the perspective of the masses, most people who don't know what they want to do when they're only 18, and also my perspective as somebody who's built a business from scratch. So is a college degree even worth it? You know, with the price of college, the changing job market, I understand and I generally agree with a point that it's a bad value on paper. So in addition to this, I will add that I learned not one practical thing from my marketing degree that I've used to build my business. I have a marketing degree and an accounting minor from Westchester University, and I can't think of one specific piece of information that I learned that helped me build my business. So my degree hasn't provided me much value as far as the practical education applied to my real life experiences. So it's not valuable on paper, hasn't taught me anything that's needed. But that being said, honestly, I think college is a great thing for all people. So I went to 2 colleges. My freshman year, I went to Ohio University, and then I transferred to Westchester University. And I've seen so many people go through it. I'm always interested when people are making a decision about college. I like to help them out, think where they should go, think where they should apply. And here's why I think college is healthy for all people. So first I'll talk about it from perspective of everybody, and then I'll follow up with a perspective of, the business perspective and the entrepreneur perspective. So I am not a psychologist, but I definitely think that I am. And I have a theory here about human development. And through my years of observation, I've developed my little theory here. So here it is. All right, so my theory, I think I'm going to call it maybe the self-learning stage. It's that every person needs somewhere from 1 year minimum to 4 years maximum where they wake up every day and answer to nobody but themselves. And I believe that's how people learn about themselves. They need to manage their own time. They have to do stupid shit, make mistakes, see what type of person they are, and see how you deal with things without any parental assistance or without the help of anyone else. So for a lot of people, definitely me, I'll admit, these are like the party years. It's time to drink a lot and hook up. But it's really not just about partying. If that's not your scene, if you're not really into partying, you still need this time where you only answer to yourself. So the foundation of this theory is living a life physically and emotionally. So actually moving out and on your own emotionally where you have nobody to answer to and you have limited responsibilities. No parents, no significant other, nobody. So that's the key that doesn't change no matter your preference. This theory isn't even about college specifically, just that every human brain needs to go through this stage. So up until you're 18, you live with your parents and you have to answer to them. Then later in life, you might have a family, get married and have kids, or have some really serious responsibilities with your job. And somewhere in between living with your parents and adulting, you need to have a window where you only answer to yourself. So this is basically what college is. And it's actually pretty spectacular that our society figured this out. Like it really has. It figured it out. College has always been kind of a staple of American society. So it's pretty cool. But now when I say that people need these 1 to 4 years of self-learning time, this stage, I'm talking about happiness. So based on my observations, people who went through this stage are happy later in life. Some people, they might get married right out of high school, and that doesn't work out a lot because they never got to have this stage and they don't really get to know themselves, and they may be resentful of that later in life. A lot of times when somebody is unhappy, I like to talk to people when they're unhappy and try to help them. And I've noticed that a lot of times you can trace it back to the fact that they never had this stage. Maybe they went right to work, Or maybe they went to college but then transferred around and went back to their parents' house to work eventually, and they never set themselves up right to have this minimum of 1 year where they live this lifestyle. A lot of times I've seen unhappy people, I've traced it back, and they never had this stage. So that is my psychological theory, the self-learning stage. I don't know, maybe I need a better name. But on average, in order to live a happy life, every person needs 1 to 4 years, and that's different for each individual, where they wake up every day living a life where they only answer to themselves. So that theory, it's not about college specifically, but college is definitely the most practical way to put that time in. And that's why I think college is a great thing to have be the standard for everybody. So I've seen a lot of people go to college, and, all my friends, I've been going to 2 schools, cousins. So here's a few tips that I've noticed for anyone who's just starting college. And these tips can help maximize your ability to have these important years to yourself. And so you can crush it, have a good time, learn about yourself, and also be happy later in life. So this is more general advice rather than business related. So number 1, go away from home and don't commute. You kind of want this stage to be like a second life. You'll have your high school friends, and then you'll also have your college friends, and this will add an important layer and experiences to your life. Especially because the actual education is debatable, how valuable it is. Like I said, doctors, engineers, it's important. Business, it's really not that important. So if the education isn't going to be that valuable, it's really all about the experience, and you can't have it if you live at home. So go away from home, don't commute, start a new life. Number 2, and I've seen this mistake made before a lot, is don't just make friends with people in your dorm room. If you're at a school with 10,000, 5,000, 15,000, 20,000, 30,000 people, and you're thrown into a dorm room with a random roommate and 15 other people in your hall, those people are random, and that's not college. I've seen people who have just met the people in their dorm room, and they've been like, oh, I don't like college, and they turn around. But no, don't make friends just the people in your hall. Branch out, find other groups of people, and really branch out to other groups in the college. It's a big school, and the chances that you'll be friends with a random people that you're placed together with are small. All right, so number 3 and 4 are break up with your high school girlfriend or boyfriend and join a fraternity, which is also part of kind of branching out and meeting new people. So I have a personal story that relates to those 2 points. So my freshman year, I went to Ohio University randomly. I didn't know anyone there, and I was on the right track. I wanted to get away, start a new life. I did have the right mindset. And the same time I decided to go to Ohio, I also got my first high school girlfriend. And I was feeling adventurous when I went to Ohio, and I wanted to go through this stage, but I also still had a girlfriend back home, and we didn't break up over the summer. And this totally affected me when I was at Ohio. I was not fully engaged. I was pulling back and forth between trying to have this life and this new stage of my life and still having my girlfriend back home. And this ended up being bad. She was still in high school. I was my freshman year, and I ended up half-assing both of them. So I did decide to join a fraternity, and because I wasn't fully engaged, I made a big mistake, and I joined the worst fraternity at the school. The guys that I met were really nice. They courted me. They sent me messages. They made me feel like the man. They did a good job recruiting me. They made me feel great. So that's why I joined. But also, I didn't know anyone at the school because no one from my high school went there. So I didn't have anyone else to reference. And also, I was not fully engaged because I was still talking to my girlfriend so much. So I half-assed it. I joined the worst fraternity. And eventually, I did end up breaking up with my girlfriend about halfway through the year. And then at Ohio, I started to get fully engaged. And I had already pledged the worst fraternity. I remember I had to walk a mile from the dorm to the frat house. And every time I made that walk, I walked by all these big, huge, beautiful frat houses with columns. Looked like they were having so much fun. And I joined the one way at the end of the road. It only had 9 people that could fit in the house. And I made a mistake, and I regretted it. And that was actually the reason I transferred to Westchester. I said it was about money because I was paying out-of-state tuition, and the economy was bad at the time, and that was definitely true. But really, I made a mistake because I still kept my high school girlfriend, and I joined the wrong fraternity, and that messed up big time. So by the time I started my sophomore year, I was fully engaged when I went to Westchester. I made a great choice. I joined a great fraternity, and I had an amazing experience. And till this day, I am the only person I know that has pledged 2 fraternities. I think that's pretty badass. And I actually never told the guys from my Westchester fraternity until after we graduated that I was in a fraternity my freshman year. I didn't know what the rules were. I never wanted to bring it up. So I kind of just stored it away. But I think it's pretty cool that I pledged 2 fraternities and I'm the only guy I know that's done that. So those are kind of my feelings and advice on college in general. But now let's bring it to the business entrepreneur perspective. So I've been saying this a lot, but I didn't get the entrepreneurial bug until what I consider to be late in life, compared to a lot of the successful people that I've read about who at 5, 6, 7 already knew they were going to be entrepreneurs. So for me, I didn't have an itch to start a business when I was 18, 19, not until maybe 21, 22 after college. So for me, college was absolutely the best thing. So one element to discuss here that is definitely important and is an important perspective to think about is that of money and tuition. The tuition of college, because like we talked about, the value of it, college is expensive, especially if you are an entrepreneur. The business degree isn't super valuable, so it's a tough choice for people. A lot of entrepreneurial advice is don't go to college. Spend 4 years hustling and building your business, and don't spend money on college, and in 4 years, you'll be way ahead of the game. And honestly, that point is valid, and it kind of makes sense to me. But the thing is, you're still a human, so you need to make sure you give yourself that time where you get away and learn about yourself. And the other thing is, if you start a company and it ends up failing like most companies do, 95% of companies fail, you may regret not going to college, and you might be a little behind at that point and feel a little lost because you never had this important stage in your life and your business just failed, and now you don't know what to do. So it's just something to think about. It is a tough scenario to be an 18-year-old hustler, an entrepreneur, and have this decision about college. My arch nemesis, Gary Vaynerchuk, he said, and he said this many times, is that his one mistake in life was that he hustled and worked through these years, and he never had that stage. Obviously he's doing well, but I really have heard him say that a lot, and this further confirms my theory, my psychological theory. So take this into consideration if you want to hustle instead of going to college. So like I said in the opening, I have a marketing degree, and the education from that taught me nothing to help me build my business. And I really don't think that you can learn business in school, because the skills you need, they're specific to your business, and the education is so broad. Maybe I'm wrong here. I'm open-minded, but I taught myself e-commerce, Shopify, paid advertising, Facebook ads, managing people, and I had to learn all the logistics that apply to my specific business. If I would have gone into a different business, maybe a B2B business, something different, I would have had to learn different skills. So I thought of a piece of advice for a young entrepreneur who decides to go to college, which is a good choice. You know what? It's also a really good choice, especially if your parents are willing to pay for it. If your parents are going to pay for college, hey, take that opportunity. If you have to pay for it for yourself and you're an entrepreneur, that's really, really something to think about, because that is a big expense. But if your parents are paying for it, that's just a sidebar. If your parents are going to pay for it, that's a good deal. But here's something I thought of, and I never did this myself because I wasn't smart enough at the time, but I think it's a really good idea for somebody who knows they want to start a business and is going into college. So here it is. Start a business in your head. Start a business and maybe buy a domain name, whatever it is, .com, and start to think about it, decide what you're going to sell, and start putting that together in your head, what business you're going to have. And then every business class that you have, apply the information to your business. So in accounting class, when you're doing debits and credits and you have to, do practice sheets, because that's what all the homework is. It's just fake businesses. Put in entries for your business, and you can start thinking about your expenses and start seeing what a real spreadsheet might look like for your business in your accounting class. Actual expenses that you might incur. In your marketing class, they actually always have this assignment in marketing classes. You have to make up your own business, and then you have to do a SWOT analysis, which is like the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of your business. They always make you kind of make up a fake business to do things within school. That's one thing I've noticed. So if every time in every single one of your classes, you take this information and you apply it to your own business, that could be a huge advantage, because I don't remember everything that I learned because it was so broad. It was just so broad and it didn't apply to anything specific, so I didn't retain the information. But if I would have gone to college now, I could take all the information from those classes and apply it specifically to what I'm doing. And then I think the education might have been more valuable. So that's just a little tip. And I think that could be really cool. And who knows, it might actually turn into something real by your sophomore, junior year. And that would be awesome. Even though, the degrees aren't as valuable, I would still suggest, if you're going to go into college with a business mindset, to still do a general business degree, something like marketing or management. I've heard some colleges now have entrepreneur degrees, and that kind of sounds counterintuitive to me, but still, do something in business. Don't waste your time doing another major. Keep your mind wrapped around business. I think that'll help you if you eventually want to start a business. And, if you care about the value of the degree, who cares? If you're going to start a business anyway, it doesn't matter, because if you're an entrepreneur, you don't need other people to evaluate you to give you a job. So who cares what the degree says? So yeah, I've always thought that there was nothing stupider than getting like an MBA, a master's in business. And I mean this from the perspective of an entrepreneur. A lot of times if you're an employee, you can get a raise if you get your master's. So that kind of makes sense to me. But starting a business from scratch is so unique in every situation, and so many problems arise. So many problems arise that are unpredictable. So many things change. You might learn about technology or a marketing platform, and then when you're out of college, it'll change. So I just don't understand how a classroom can teach you this stuff. You know what? But I could be wrong. I'm an open-minded person, and I would love to talk to a true grit entrepreneur, somebody who's built something from scratch, who actually went to business school, maybe got their master's in business, and believes that experience at school was important to their success. I would be so curious to talk to somebody like that. So if anybody knows anyone that built a business successfully and went to business school, then send them my way, because I love hearing the perspective of other people, and maybe I'm wrong here. So I'm open-minded to that. All right, so those are my feelings on college in general and college for entrepreneurs. And everybody's situation is different with their personal preferences, their money, their financial situation, how motivated, how mature you are. But still, I believe that every human needs 1 to 4 years where they only answer to themselves to learn. And college is pretty good for that. So overall, I think college is a great thing for personal development. I think it's a great thing for society. And even though it may not teach specifics that you will need to build your business, the college experience, if you do it right, it will help build you into somebody who can be a successful entrepreneur. And it adds layers to your life, and you just learn about the world. So it's great. So overall, I'm pro college. If you are 18 and you really, 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 really have a business already started, probably go for that. Mark Zuckerberg, those guys, they dropped out of college once it started getting going. But overall, I think college is a good thing. And, it's different for everyone. But that's my take on college. So that's it for episode 4. So I appreciate you guys listening. I love when everyone gives me input. I love when everyone gives me their opinions on what I should talk about. So you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SeanLowery20. Let me know your thoughts. And I really appreciate everybody listening. So thank you. Keep on living the dream. Keep hustling. And have a great life. Have a great day. Thank you.